Okay. Hello, all. This session is going to be about using student views in Brightspace. This one is important because it allows you to make sure that you understand exactly what your students are seeing. So with that, I'm going to start sharing my screen. And the first screen that I have is the institutional page for Brightspace at SUNY Oswego. So this gives me my list of all courses. In most cases, what you see in this general interface is very similar to what students see. So they have their own list of courses. They have their lists of announcements. These are system announcements, not course announcements. But from here, I can immediately jump into a course and see the announcements for that course. Now, students always get an email for the course announcements. So course announcements are a great way to talk to students, but I can always look at what they say here. Sorry, let me just check something. I'm getting a repeated Zoom error. Oh, well, that was fun. Sorry, apparently I had some sort of Zoom error. Okay, as I was saying, so as a student, when I come in, I will always see these announcements. Now, right off the bat, one of the best tools that you have is the student preview. So if
Yeah, frozen.
I think we lost Doug.
Carrie, can you take over? I don't know why Zoom keeps quitting on me.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Sorry. I'm going to restart.
Yep. All right, everyone, give me 1 second. I am not set up in there.
If I can retrieve the screen back. Oh, there we go.
Okay. Change. Okay.
Okay, if you're not ready, I restarted things so I can.
Did you? Okay. Yeah, I almost there, but
Yeah,
it does seem something slow.
Yeah, I don't know.
Something going
Working fine for the last one. So sorry about this, Jen. And anybody that happens to be watching this as a recording. All right.
Okay.
Let's try this one last time. Okay. So again, we are here on the course homepage, but this is actually a feature you can access pretty much anywhere. What you're going to do is click on your name in the upper right-hand corner, and usually the immediate option will be view as OSW student non-cascading. You can change this to a few other roles. I have more roles than most, but generally you're always going to want to use this as an OSW student. So you simply click on that link, and now it says, hey, you're now, whoever you are, viewing this as a student. Now, this is not a specific student. This is a fake student generated by the system which means it has very limited rights and abilities to do things, but it does give you an idea of what an average student will see. So again, I see my announcements, I see any updates, I see upcoming events if I have due dates and things like that, though the calendar can be a little wonky. What I usually recommend is that students actually use the go-to calendar option, which seems to be more reliable. Again, though, this is just a test course, so I don't have much in the way of due dates in it. But the real thing for this is that I can go to content, which is the access point for pretty much everything in the entire course, and see exactly what students have access to. The one gap in this is that if there's no way to control group access, so I can't say, okay, I want to see what the course looks like as a member of group A or B or C. And unfortunately, there's no workaround for that. So if you're concerned as to whether group members are seeing something, you would have to reach out to us. But other than that, I can see exactly what students are seeing and what students are not seeing. In this course, pretty much everything is open, but it gives you a good idea of what they're seeing. These numbers next to each thing are supposed to track whether or not I've looked at something yet. So you can see in the module I happen to be in that I've looked at the first three, but anything that's got these little dots next to it means it hasn't been reviewed yet. This is a little twitchy because again, this is a fake student. To get out of this view, I simply click on my name again and click X. Now you can look at assignments and discussions through the student view, although anything that you try to submit won't go anywhere. For quizzes, however, you actually have to be in your faculty view. And then you go into a quiz. Which in hindsight, I should have actually made sure I had a quiz to go into. Which I do have, I just don't remember where I put it. I thought I did put it there. So I do have to go in through the content as an instructor, but then you'll see I have a preview option here. And that lets me see what the quiz looks like to students. In this case, the quiz is turned off, but I do have the ability to bypass these restrictions as a faculty member. And then I can simply start the quiz and see exactly what that quiz looks like to students. Now it may actually, this view again is also a little different. Sometimes it doesn't want to let you out unless you actually have done whatever it wants you to do. So give me 1 second. I'm just going to manually get out of this. Now, the other main aspect of this is how do students review their grades? Students are always going to have a link in their view called My Performance, which gives them direct access to the grade book and class progress. Now, grades is a very, very high level overview of how they're doing. But you can see what they see by going to the grade book and clicking on the pull down next to any student and simply saying preview. And you will get a little pop-up that shows exactly what they would see. Are you seeing the pop-up, Carrie?
No.
No, I'm just seeing the grade book.
Okay. Okay, now you're seeing it, right?
It's loading, but yeah, there it is.
Okay, so again, this is a very, very high level overview. The better view for students is if they go under My Performance, which is course progress for you, and click class progress. You'll get a list of all students. They'll just click straight through to themselves. But once you click on a student's name, you're now seeing the exact same thing they are seeing. So again, it starts with just a very high level overview, but where the real things are is in the individual breakdowns. And you can scroll through or you can jump to individual things. But so I can jump straight to discussions and I can see every topic that I posted in. And I can, I can see every topic I posted in. And any feedback or grading that was done on that. Same thing for assignments. I can look at anything I've submitted and I can see how I did. I can see the general feedback, and if it was used, I can see the inline feedback. And if I actually had taken any quizzes as this student, I could go see exactly how I did on that quiz. Now, this is very dependent on how the quiz feedback settings were taken care of. But basically, I'd have the same thing as with the other ones where I would have a link that simply says, hey, do you want to see how you did on this? Here's your grade, and here's what feedback is available. So that's really all I have to talk to you about with this. If a student needs assistance, their best option is to go to help and go to the SUNY help desk. The SUNY help desk has the ability to log in remotely to their machines and is generally geared towards helping students. And they have all the same options you do with create a support request or directly talk to somebody. And if you have any questions, we are always available at help@oswego.edu Monday through Friday. That kicks an email out to the entire support team and puts it into our ticketing system. Or you can use the SUNY help desk as well for outside hours support. And finally, we always have our office hours. And the easiest way to get to those is to go to oswego.edu/DLE and hit the first option. And then just go to help and support. And our office hours are right there for the summer. They're Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And the link to join that Zoom is right there. And we do work to give individual support during those times. Using breakout rooms and whatnot. But if those times don't work for you, or there's a longer question that you want to ask us, we can always work with you to schedule a time for a Zoom that works for your schedule. And that is all I have. Are there any questions, or do you have anything to add, Carrie?
No, I think you covered it well.
Well, thank you all for attending, and that's it.
Great. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Carrie.